Hey, what's the deal, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Honey. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. Welcome back. It is your girl, Miss Honey, here to do Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is not my normal setup, but I am working on a special project at work for the next couple of months or so. So it's going to be really difficult for me to do videos after work just because I get home so late. And I don't want you guys to get those videos late like that. So I should have done it last night when I first watched it, but I've been in Carolina since Saturday, so I needed a nap. Plus, I had to do my mammogram yesterday. You know, that's exhausting. If y'all ever had a mammogram before, it is exhausting. Anyway, and mildly traumatic. Anyway, I was going to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta real quick. This was the episode where the ladies finally take their trip. They were going to Greece before we got an opportunity to see them get on the flight and all of that. We see all the ladies learn at different times after the fundraising event that Kenya and Marc Daly had announced their separation and, you know, subsequent divorce. So all the ladies were shocked. All the ladies were talking about it, you know, in different ways. Y'all know Marlo and Nene gonna talk about it one way, and then Cynthia acted like she was so shocked and all of that. But sometimes you can tell that things are staged by Cynthia's reaction. Well, anyway, they was meeting at Kenya's house, her and Candy. They hugging like somebody done passed away, child. You know, it's this supposed to be this, you know, just super mournful period. Okay. All right. Whatever. Anyway, so they go and talk to her, and you could tell she had been crying. You know, they did several snapshots. They showed the baby laying in the bed, and they showed her in the room, and, you know, she was crying. She seemed like her nose had been stuffy, and she tells them, you know, about how bad it got, you know, that in the Uber on the way home. I was like, Uber? No car service? That's odd. So they on the way home in the Uber, and he is just so upset with her, and he tells her he didn't even want her to come. Now, you want me to plan it. You want me to do all the specifics and get your outfit together, but you didn't want me to come. Okay. Well, evidently it got so bad in the car that the Uber driver pulled over and asked him to get out, that he could not ride any further. Now, I don't know if the Uber driver went on and took her on home, but he had to get out, according to her. And she also led on to the fact that there have been other women she's seen in his phone where he's been talking to other women, some woman in New York. She said, even though you're getting married, can we still keep the sexual connection going? Evidently, this is a woman that likes it rough, because he is clearly a man that likes to be rough. And so, she said she called a woman and told a woman that she was Mrs. Daly, and that, you know, she needs to watch herself around her man. She said she did talk to him too and tell him that that was inappropriate. And, you know, after he found out she called a woman, he was very upset with her. But then he did say she was right, and that he wasn't going to do that again. You know, he was going to be more careful, or whatever. They asked her about if she was going to go on a trip. I mean, Candy and Cynthia was like, what? Everything she said, they were like the next level shock. Like the next level, which I can completely understand. Like, I don't even think we know remotely the half of what it is that he was putting her through. But like I said in the last episode, you got to know how to be crazy sometimes. You got to know how to do it. If they think you're going to have the propensity to fight back, to snap back, or to clap back in any type of way, they'll be a little bit more hesitant about verbally and physically abusing you. Now, if you know you got somebody that's going to roll over and take it, it's just going to be the next level on you, and that's just what it is. I mean, Kenya was really on her way to sleeping on the floor next to the bed. Okay? Because Marc liked to humiliate her. He liked to chastise her. He likes to punish her. He likes to hold her feet to the fire. So you ain't gonna make me believe that he wasn't making her do stuff around the house. He wasn't on his way to making her do stuff around the house, like sleeping on the floor next to him in the bed instead of sleeping in the bed. You can't eat. You have to ask permission to open the refrigerator up. You need to call me and let me see what you eating. Oh, it's some real crazy stuff going on out there when it come to men ruling over women and diminishing them, demoralizing them. I'm gonna tell you, go back. If you can go back through your Oprah archive, she had a woman on there, a fair-skinned woman. She was married to a real handsome, dark-skinned man. I think he was ex-military. She gave the man 2 or 3 sons. Not only was he beating on her and humiliating her, he was letting the sons, encouraging the sons to beat on her and to humiliate her. Standing on her back like a table, making her get down on all fours so he can get something off the top shelf. Just crushing any bit of esteem she may have had out of her. So it's quite possible. That is where Kenya was headed. I've heard some conflicting stories. I've heard her say we're trying to work it out. I heard her say that later on when she went on the trip and the ladies was talking to her about it, I heard her say that she doesn't believe he wants a divorce, even though he's the one that initiated it and forced her hand to release her own statement. And she doesn't want a divorce. She thinks if he just stops doing these things, he'll be fine. But my thing is that for him to even do these things says a lot about his character. It's not hard for him. It's not a struggle for him. He's not acting. This is who he is. This is his go-to. You got your baby, sis. Go on about your business. Go on about your business. Anyway, the ladies go on the trip. They get to the airport. And Candy, who just gets on, she caping so hard for Kenya right now. She caping so hard for Kenya, which is fine, whatever. But, I don't know. I just can't. Those of you guys who were there when Kenya first came and Phaedra was there, the way that she was so harsh on not just Phaedra but Phaedra's marriage. She really tried to push up on Apollo. If she wasn't trying to push up on Apollo, she was trying to give Phaedra the idea that she was trying to push up on Apollo. Y'all remember that time they was on the trip and she jumped in the water with him? He picked her up and jumped in the water with him, and they was in the pool, and it was just it's not the first time. It's not the first time. The bullcrap she did to Tanya, all of this stuff. But at the same time, Candy is telling the ladies at the airport that try not to mention it, try not to bring it up, and let's just try to, have a good trip and not upset her. Okay. All right. So they get on the trip. Kenya doesn't get on the flight. She gets on a direct flight. She brings her nanny and the baby. Portia's got her baby and her mom. They're staying in separate villa from the ladies and from the other ladies. And so does Kenya and her nanny and her baby stay in it. They stay at a separate villa, and Kenya and Portia stay with the ladies in their villa. They have these 6 sorority games that they're gonna play to get the best room. I personally don't like for my good time to to be in jeopardy. I need to know that I'm gonna have a good time. I need to know that my spot is gonna be a nice spot, and I need to know what my room gonna be. And I don't want to eat no sardines and squid and all of that to do it. I'm not running no obstacle course trying to get the best room. Like, I'm not interested in that. But the ladies seemed like they was okay with it. They had fun, so they did all these series of challenges and tests and all of this to see who get the best room. Candy and Kenya got the best room off the rip. Things were awkward on the bus riding from the airport. Marlo and Nene were just being extra fake. They really was just positioning Kenya so she wouldn't run off early on. They waiting a little bit so they can really get to it with her. But when Candy was trying to tell him at the airport to be nice, Marlo was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to be nice. And Nene was like, oh, well, she should have thought about all that when she did what she did to Tanya, which is weird because you've done more than enough to Tanya yourself, Nene. So let's all move forward with that. So they come down to have dinner, and Cynthia and Nene kind of share an adjacent room side by side or something like that. And Cynthia has the unmitigated gall to ask Nene to talk with Kenya to make her feel better because she has been married the longest, and she probably could give her some sage advice and that type of thing. And I don't believe that. Nene said, I have been trying to reach out to her, and I have been trying to be nice to her. I don't have a problem being nice to her. I don't have a problem being kind to her. So when they go to dinner, and we try to have this sort of mundane conversation, this sort of everyday conversation. Kenya's trying to keep the crowd moving. They having cocktails. She don't really want to sit. She want to go on and have dinner. They go to dinner, and she's just bracing herself. She knows that eventually it's going to come up. And Nene asked her, I know we've had our differences or whatever, but I really need to know how you're doing. And that's when she got emotional again and started breaking down and started talking about, we were so happy when we had Brooklyn, and we were so happy when we first got together. That was a very short period of time ago. It's not like he had a stroke or got struck by lightning or something, and he just became this person. This is who he is deep down inside. Deep down inside, he has a propensity to be verbally assaulting, verbally aggressive, to be diminishing. Okay? Period. He was just hiding. That was his interview. That was interview Marc. That was interview Marc. I'm going to tell you something. If a man gets sad and what he does is go to an abusive stance when he gets sad, or if he's in pain and he goes to this abusive place when he's in pain, or if things aren't just right, and he can't articulate it, he goes to this abusive place, then that's who he is. That means push can never come to shove in y'all relationship without him being the ugliest that he can possibly be. And that is a problem. That you cannot change. This is who he inherently is. That's just what it is. I'm just being honest. Anyway, she thanks everybody but Nene. She's clearly snubbing Nene. Now, Candy has a little talk with her in the kitchen about it. So she was like, okay, yeah, no, it's just that I just didn't want to go. She's giving her this, a mile long excuse, which Candy accepts. She doesn't really have anything harsh to say to Kenya. I mean, Kenya's in victim mode now. I don't feel that bad for her. I don't. And honestly, like I said, some things is just karma. Nobody deserves to be treated that way. But at the same time, Kenya, you would, I agree with Marlo, you would definitely be talking about it. You would definitely be shading it. You would definitely bring it up. You would definitely weaponize it if it was somebody else. And we all know it. So, Candy has a talk with her. She's going to take a piece of dessert out for her and Nene. But when she goes out there, Nene has had it. Because she said it. She snubbed me twice at this table. I'm going to go back to my room and lay down. And I'm going to be done with it. So then Candy tries to head it off. And head Nene off and say, Nene, this is what she meant to say. And this is my problem with Candy. Is that you'll go and make excuses for Kenya and her bad behavior. But I really haven't heard you talk to Tanya. That was wrong what she did, Tanya. She shouldn't have done that. We don't have any of that filmed. We don't have any of that film. We don't have any footage or audio of you calling Tanya and say, I heard what happened and she had brought this lady. I'm sorry about that. That's terrible. She should not have done that. We don't have any of that footage. But you're going to go and make excuses about why she snubbed her. When I think you could have said at that moment, that was very kind of Nene to speak up to you. Now, we know Nene being fake. We know Nene waiting for that moment. But at the same time, why you caping for Kenya so hard? Like, everybody talking about how Portia was caping for Tanya, but I don't understand why Candy is caping so hard for Kenya. In my opinion, really, if Marc was taller and lighter skin, and bulkier, more musculated, you'd have to worry about Kenya around your man. Like Phaedra did. Yeah. I think it's weird. I think it's odd. Anyway, so Kenya was out there eating her dessert, child. She could care less. She ain't care nothing about that. She don't care. She snubbed her because she meant to snub her. I don't know why she went and tried to act like she was going to take the cake and all of that, because that was just going to lead to an argument. But next week, they're going to full-fledged get into it. They're going to get into it full on. We didn't get an Eva this episode. We didn't talk about Eva this episode. I'm assuming she's somewhere with the new baby. I don't know. I tried to muster up some strength for Kenya. I feel bad that she's in that position. I know what it's like to be a woman in your latter years. You want a baby, you want a husband, you want all of these things, and you may feel forced to do some things that you wouldn't normally do, to lower the bar, to rush some things. But Kenya is also a very good example of why you should not do that, why you should take your time, and really make a sound decision before you get with a dude and find yourself in a position where you are being abused. At the same time, I don't think anybody should hold back from asking Kenya whatever they want to ask her, because we all know that that's what Kenya would do. We know that. And next week, it looks like all of the hard work that Tanya and Cynthia, Kenya and Candy and Cynthia have put in, comforting, consoling, and protecting Kenya, goes to waste when Kenya begins to once again shade Cynthia. So I'm excited to see that. She can't help herself. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think she and Nene are a lot alike, but I think she and Marc are a lot alike too. She's unhappy in her relationship, and she picks who she thinks is really the weakest person out of the group to ridicule, to take all her passive aggressive anger and angst and depression out on. That's Cynthia, in her opinion. She can always go off on Cynthia and then give her a half-ass apology later, and Cynthia be cool with that. She will be. This was an alright episode. Greece looks like it's beautiful. I hope we see more fun than we see Fool-La-La. But I'm here for it. Y'all tell me what y'all think about this episode. Tell me what y'all think about some of the things that Kenya revealed about her and Marc's relationship and how he has behaved. What do y'all think about how she was moving in Greece? I do think she's sad. I think you can hear the fact that she had been crying a lot. She was pretty stuffed up in the nose and whatnot. And so I think she's very, very upset. I just don't think that Kenya's the kind of person that you can be kind to. I think she's the kind of person that rewards your kindness with viciousness, in my opinion. And that bull crap, I don't know what she got on Eva, but that bull crap, Eva was talking about how Kenya's her ride or die and all this other stuff. And she's just a good person and all that stuff. I was just like, oh, okay. All right, girl. Okay. So this all acting. This is all fabulous, fabulous acting. The way she acts on this show is just all fabulous acting, and that's it. She's really sincerely in real life just a stellar individual. Bull crap. I call bull crap. Yeah, I call bull crap. And shout out to Roaches. Shout out to Roaches. I heard Marc Daly's restaurant in New York was closed down or cited. One of them. I think it's harder to close a restaurant down in New York than one would think, because you know they got rats the size of horses down there just walking in the street smoking cigarettes and whatnot. But yeah, shout out to Roaches, because they shut his restaurant down because of roaches. The roaches shut the restaurant down. They say he had a major infestation of roaches in the food and on all the equipment. So yeah, karma's a beast. Karma's a beast for Mr. and Mrs. Daly, because Mrs. Daly gonna get it in Greece, and it looked like the roaches gonna give it to Marc over here in New York. Y'all tell me what you think. Put it down below. And until next time, honeybees. Mwah, 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 mwah.